So a couple of days ago was WWDC 24. There were a lot of interesting Apple Intelligence announcements. So first things first, of course there was
Good morning.
And then we got into visionOS. So this is the first update to visionOS, and of course it's called visionOS 2. There are already over 2,000 apps made just for the Vision Pro. There's an update to Photos which allows a machine learning algorithm to create a spatial photo from a 2D image. There are new gestures, so you can open your hand up and tap to open Home View, or you can flip your hand over to open the time and battery level, and tap to open the control center. There are higher display resolutions and larger displays coming to Mac Virtual Display, and they're also even adding an ultra-wide option, so you can basically have a virtual ultra-wide display. Pretty cool. There's also a new Canon lens for one of their most popular cameras, which has spatial video. There's some new Apple immersive videos with 180 degree 8K spatial video. These will be available on the TV app. And it's also got mouse support. And the Apple Vision Pro is coming to China, Japan, Singapore, Australia, Canada, France, Germany, and the UK soon. So next up was iOS 18. So on the home screen you can now finally, after how many years that Android has had it, I think Android's had it for its whole lifetime actually, you can now put icons anywhere on the lock screen. No, not the lock screen, the home screen. There's also new dark mode icons, and those icons can be tinted with color with a new customization sheet. Then there's a redesigned control center with new groups of controls for media playback, home controls, and you can get to any group with a singular swipe from the top of the screen. There's also a new control gallery, as developers can now add their own controls to Control Center as well. There's also new controls available from the lock screen. Yes, you're hearing that correctly. You can finally change the buttons on the lock screen, which have never been changeable since iOS 11. Then there's some new privacy features, so for apps you can lock an app and it requires authentication through Face ID, passcode or Touch ID, and sensitive information from that app won't appear anywhere else on the system. And there's also a feature called Hide an App, where you can hide an app in a locked folder in the app library. There's also some new features in messages, so with tapbacks you can use any emoji. You can also schedule messages, finally. I needed to use that feature a couple of days ago and we've finally got it. Not yet though, it'll be released later this year. There's new text formatting, so you can do straight through, underline, italics. There's new text effects, like how there's the balloons for a happy birthday. There's more options and you can add it to any word. So there's also suggestions for that. For iPhone 14 and later you can use messages via satellite to text off grid. And it can even send SMSs as well. Now there's a big update to Mail which makes it more similar to Gmail. So there's new categories, which as I've said are similar to Gmail. Primary, transactions, updates and promotions. And there's also a digest view to see all emails from the business. So I think this is done using a machine learning algorithm again. In maps, there are new topographic maps with hiking routes and step-by-step directions for those routes. In Wallet, there's a new feature called Tap to Cash, and you can bring iPhones together and just transfer money without having to have a phone number or contact details, which is quite cool. Journal now lets you log your state of mind. Then there's some developments in gaming, so game mode is coming to iPhone, which minimizes background activity to increase FPS, and it massively increases responsiveness with the wireless controllers and AirPods. In Photos, there's the biggest redesign ever, and it keeps the library organized, and it's all been unified into a single view, so there's no tabs at the bottom anymore. So there's new collections, so you can browse by topics, recent days, people and pets, and trips. And there's a favourite and featured photos carousel, which will generate new carousels each day, as far as I could tell. There's reminders integration with calendar, RCS messaging support, and there's also larger icons on the home screen. So overall, it seems like a pretty solid update. Now let's get into audio and home. So AirPods are making it easier to interact with Siri, so you can nod to say yes to a prompt from Siri and shake your head to say no. So if someone was calling you can go, yes, I want to answer that, or no, I don't want to answer that. Voice isolation is coming to the AirPods Pro, and there's also going to be personalized spatial audio in games. So there's new developer APIs for that. In tvOS, there's a new feature called Insight, which shows characters and actors in real time. In audio, there's enhanced dialogue, which will make dialogue easier to hear. There's now support for 21:9 projectors with the Apple TV, and it's easier to see a screensaver. There are also now robot vacuums in the Home app. Now let's get on to watchOS 11. So there's a new feature called Training Load, which tracks your training intensity by using heart rate, pace, and elevation. It creates an effort rating and monitors your average, and it can detect if you're doing more than usual or less than usual, less activity than usual. You can now customize your summary tab on the iPhone Activity app. There's a new Vitals app, which watches your most important health metrics, and they will be highlighted when they're out of normal range. The Smart Stack now adds widgets right when you need them using machine learning. Live activities are also coming to Apple Watch along with check-in. And there's an update to watch faces, and there's an algorithm that'll help you find best photos for watch faces based on faces and aesthetics. Now we're getting on to iPadOS 18. So the features on iOS are also coming to iPad. There's a new floating tab bar at the top of the display, which morphs into the sidebar when needed, so in apps like Apple TV, for example. There's a redesigned Pages, Numbers, and Keynote. There's new SharePlay features, so you can draw on a screen and screen sharing to point to a button that a person you're assisting with technical assistance needs to press, or you can ask them for permission for you to take over the screen and control it. Freeform is adding scenes, and Calculator is finally coming to iPad.
I want to talk about a feat that some may have concluded must be a mathematical impossibility. That's right, we're bringing Calculator to iPad.
With some pretty neat features. So, For one, it has history. It's usable with the Apple Pencil, and there's a new feature called Math Notes, which lets you write expressions, and as soon as there's an equal sign, the iPad will automatically calculate the answer. That's a pretty neat feature. When a change is made to the equation, it will automatically update the answer. It supports variables. If a y equals equation is used, then the equal sign can be tacked on to create a graph. And all of these features also work in Notes, which is a perfect segue to Notes. So in handwriting, there's Smart Script, which improves the appearance of your handwriting as you go with machine learning. And you can also paste typed text and turn it into handwriting. That's it for the iPad, so let's head on to the new version of macOS. And of course there's been a whole naming thing.
But what should we call it? Well, that brings us once again to the annual escapades of our legendary crack marketing team. Distracted briefly from their marathon hacky sack session, they stumbled into their minibus and wove a trail toward the Sierras, eventually rolling to a stop in a beautiful national park. Staring skyward up the towering trunks surrounding them, they felt a deep kinship with anything that could get that high. They knew they'd found their spot. Welcome to macOS Sequoia.
So yeah, the new name of this version of macOS is macOS Sequoia. There's new continuity features, so you can mirror your iPhone to your Mac, and you can fully interact with it wirelessly, but it still appears locked while you're using it from your Mac. iPhone notifications are also coming to the Mac, and when interacting, you are taken to the iPhone app through that whole thing with iPhone mirroring. With window tiles, you're finally able to have more than two windows side by side, so similar to how Windows and Linux has the window arrangement thing now. Finally! With Keychain, there's a new passwords app, and you can access all your credentials in one place. There's even an app for Windows. On Safari, highlights can show relevant information. Reader also adds a table of context, and Viewer puts the video front and center. And Ubisoft announced that Assassin's Creed Shadows is launching on Mac, and it's also coming to iPad. And then we get on to the biggest announcement of this event, Apple Intelligence. So, it brings intelligence that understands you, and it's deeply integrated into the platforms, which could be a problem, and I'll explain later. It delivers deep natural understanding and can prioritize notifications. There are system-wide writing tools that can make you sound more confident in your writing. It can summarize text. It creates original images. There's 3 unique styles: sketch, illustration, and animation. It can carry out tasks on your behalf and has the ability to retrieve relevant data across apps or on your screen. The architecture of it has on-device processing, but it can leverage a cloud server if it needs the extra power. And this is using private cloud compute, so it draws on larger server models with privacy. The data is never stored on servers. It has a verifiable privacy promise, and it sets a brand new standard for privacy in AI. So of course they're using this for Siri, so it's more natural, relevant, and personal. There's a new look with a glowing light that wraps around the edge of your screen. It understands even if you mess up your speech, and it also understands past conversation. With a double tap at the bottom of the screen on your iPhone, you can type to Siri. It can answer questions about the software from the manual. It will have on-screen awareness, and Siri can take actions in apps on your behalf. It can enhance photos, move photos from one app to the other, and you can even ask it to find something. All of these updates are coming to all platforms. With the writing tools, Rewrite gives you different versions of what you have written. It can proofread your writing. Autocorrect is not so silly anymore, and it will actually use AI to suggest prompts for your writing with the Smart Reply. It will summarize emails instead of showing the first few words in mail, so instead of a description you've got like a description of the whole email rather than just a tiny little snippet of the email. There's a new focus mode which is called Reduce Interruptions, and it will understand notifications and only display important ones. There's a new feature called Gem-Emoji, which allows you to create custom emojis, and you can even create some that look like a person. There's a new app called Image Playground where you can create images. Image Wand can turn a rough sketch into an image, I guess in things like notes. Search in photos is more natural, and you can also use a cleanup tool which can get rid of distractions in any photo. Phone calls can be recorded and summarized, only after asking the person on the other end of the line, of course. ChatGPT is only used after asking user each time, and these requests and information are not logged. Apple Intelligence is also coming to Xcode, and as Craig Federighi has put it, it is AI for the rest of us. This whole event was shot on an iPhone. Yeah, but how deeply Apple Intelligence is going to be baked into macOS Sequoia could be a bit of a problem for schools and education with exams and fairness. Yeah, I'm going to be doing something about that. But anyway, for now, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Remember to like, share this video with your friends, comment and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.